Hey everyone. Um, it is Wednesday, January 31st at 7 p.m. We have a quorum of commissioners present. So I am calling to order our meeting of the ABC and Public Safety Committee, which was we moved to this date later in January to be able to go over um, a couple of things and have more folks present with us. We've got a pretty short agenda. I don't see a representative yet from the precinct 303. I did reach out a second time and then also left a message at the precinct. So hopefully we will be able to get someone on. Um, but I propose that for now, we actually move on to the second item on the agenda and start with the new liquor license, or I guess it's not a liquor license, it is a medical cannabis retailer license application by Wash Hydro, Abra 126952, located at 2318 18th Street Northwest. I believe we have a representative on. That's Jeff, correct? No, Jeff is not doing that one. That's John. John, do you want to raise your hand and we'll promote you to be a speaker? I'll ask that, Andrew. We have a new rep from the police department, and I think there's just a little bit of a transition issue for them starting to engage with ANC. John, uh, here, thank you for joining us this evening. I know you sent me over some materials. We'd love to just get to know a little bit more about you, about Wash Hydro, and about the application, if you wouldn't mind.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, let me mute. John, would you mind trying to speak again? I'm going to mute myself and see if that helps.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, no, we're getting some feedback, but it doesn't seem to be from my speaker being on. It's probably something with your device there. Um,
It looks
Hey,
like it's
John, try again.
John, do you mind trying to speak again so we can see if we still have that glitch?
Hello, do you got me now?
We do. There's a little bit of a reverb, but it's not as bad as it was before. Uh,
Okay.
so there we go. Normally in these, we just try to get to know a little bit about the business owner, about the business itself, and about the application that you're seeking. So if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about Wash Hydro, how long you've been around for, how long you've been in business. I, I've seen you all there for a long time, so it'd be great to just learn a little bit more.
Sure. I'm John Kenny. I'm 65 years old. I'm a native Washingtonian. Lived here my whole life. I opened Wash Hydro in 2016. I
John, go ahead. You should be good.
Okay. We opened Wash Hydro in 2016, and we've we were in business down there. We've been gifting cannabis since then. We've supported the National Cannabis Festival. We supported the DC State Fair. We hosted events at my home at 1849 Calvert Street in Adams Morgan. And I just believe in Adams Morgan as a community. My customer base down there was mainly older people, 40 to 70 years old. We never had any kind of legal issues there. We just fit right into the community, and we were embraced there since day one. And we just love Adams Morgan. There's not a lot more I can say. I also was the original sponsor of the National Cannabis Festival. I sponsored it for 4 years. I I believe in giving back to the community. We hosted a lot of seed events there. We opened our doors to um, every organization that came into DC that was promoting cannabis during legislative weeks. We did a lot of community events. We actually worked with several of the board members and gave documentation. We supported a policy called "No Barriers to Entry," in which I was advocated that we should all be able to get licenses and be legal and pay our taxes. I submitted documentation to you guys, basically of all the taxes that we paid. I had interviewed with Carl Racine's office about the legality of our business and gifting. We went through the policies that we had as far as how we gifted, and Mr. Racine agreed with us that our business was a legit business. We did things a lot different than the other cannabis businesses that are in the city. We grew our own in DC. When none of our cannabis was imported, it never had any stickers on it saying that it was come from any other state. We didn't believe in it. We believed in the farmers market mentality in DC, that DC citizens should be able to grow cannabis, and that DC citizens should be able to gift their cannabis or sell their cannabis. We've always advocated for everyone to have a license. And if the opportunity would have arisen to me sooner to have a license, I would have got one at the first opportunity. Actually, myself and my wife applied for a license in 2017, and that license was given to Mrs. Green instead. But we've always advocated for legality, to be legal, and we've always advocated for everyone to be able to get a license, and we firmly believe that. Our location down there, I've submitted to you guys the security plans for it. We always had a security guard there. We never had any robberies or incidents of any type of crime going on there in the neighborhood. And we just want to be a part of Adams Morgan. We believe in Adams Morgan. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have.
That's great, John. I really appreciate it. I've always thought that it was so much better to regulate the industry just like any other. Really appreciate your dedication to locally grown product. I think that supports our local economy, and it's awesome that you're doing that. And the farmers market mentality is really great. Appreciate you giving back to the community. I know folks speak really highly of you and in the way that you engage with the bid and other organizations in the community. So I really appreciate it, John. My question, we get some concerns from folks about these shops. I think more in the line of public safety and access for young folks. I'll note that you are outside of the distance to Marie Reed Elementary School. And I paced it out myself to make sure that you were, the appropriate distance away from the school, and you are, according to the new regulations that have gone in place by ABCA. So, that's totally square. I would just ask, you are still fairly close to an elementary school. So, my biggest question and concern is just making sure that y'all are being careful not to sell the product to younger folks, because there is research out there that shows that for young developing minds that marijuana can be harmful. So, perfectly safe and even effective medically for folks as their brains are fully developed, but it can create some stunting for younger folks that are using. So That would be my biggest question is just what you're doing there to make sure that, younger folks aren't being able to come in and get access to it.
So early on with Wash Hydro, we checked to make sure that we weren't close to any schools because we know that those two things just don't. It's not a good recipe. The second thing that we did is that we didn't service 18-year-olds with Wash Hydro. We went to 21 right from the get go because 18-year-olds have 17 and 16-year-old friends. So we just made it our company policy not to service anyone under 21 years of age. And the other thing that we did is that we had security right at our front door when you came in that checked IDs just to make sure that everybody was legit. Because again, there's no mentality with us for serving minors. It's bad business. It doesn't do anything to promote our causes, and we just stay away from it. And with Wash Hydro, the way that it's going to be set up this time, there will be a security guard when you come into the door, provided by KT Security, who did all my security prior, and they'll be checking IDs. Now, I think we have to serve 18-year-olds that have cards in DC or that want to get cards in DC. So what we'll do is we'll follow the law there as we have to, but you have to have a medical card and you have to be 18 years old to get cannabis in DC. So we plan on following whatever guidelines there are. I wish I could say I could stay 21, but I can't go against district law and deny someone that's 18 years old cannabis. Whereas before we were a medical establishment, we could make those decisions on our own.
Well, I appreciate that, John. I do, and I really think we benefit as a community having business owners like you who are so responsible doing this in our neighborhood. All right, I'm going to hand it over. Commissioner Peter Wood had his hands up first, so I'm going to go over to him for his question.
All right, thanks. I don't really have a question. I just wanted to comment. Wash Hydro's in this district I represent. Mr. Kenny and I have been in contact and really transparent and just went above and beyond, just commenting and demonstrating all of the typical concerns, security, things like that. So really appreciate it. I think as we've made clear in this case and in the recent past, this is a pretty new development for the city and especially advisory neighborhood commissioners. We've requested to get some sort of training or something thereabouts and really haven't been able to get it. So it's been kind of self-guided in a way, or at least we've been reading PowerPoints that we were sent. So
Right.
it's a start, but it's just not quite the same as being trained staff. So it's helpful to have, one, good business models that are being presented for our support, and two, just communication from people like you, Mr. Kenny, who have been really helpful in just making sure that our doubts are alleviated. Like the 300 distance rule, also like another thing that's not really your responsibility, but just like the concern of clustering of places is what they're trying to address by having it a 400 foot radius, or I guess
400, yes.
400 foot distance between establishments. So if if this goes well for you, you'll be in a pretty good position that it'll kind of distance you out from quite a bit of 18th Street. So good luck to you.
Well, I'd like to say that when we considered opening Wash Hydro initially, it was always rumored that Wash Hydro would be the center of the city, or the Adams Morgan was going to be the center of the city, and that they would be one of the first area to get licensed. And so that's why we came there, and just the vitality of the community was the other driving force. And I guess you guys know we have a cultivation license too, and we will be cultivating our own cannabis, and we will be selling our own cannabis right through the stores, just like we always have. We really believe in that mentality. I've also hired staff from DC that have been with me a few years. So we plan on stocking our store with DC residents. We have a compliancy officer already that's been through training, worked in dispensaries in Maryland, and she's just super excited to come back into the District of Columbia, where she's a native of.
Just to confirm, just for my clarification, so your application's for medical sales, but the cultivation's already taken care of. You're not looking for that,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Cultivation's already taken care of. Yep, and we also have a delivery license too.
Got it. Thank you.
Right.
Yep. Thanks, John. Much appreciated. I'll kick you over to Commissioner Barney Shapiro, who has his hand up.
Hi, John.
Hi.
I got a couple questions for you. You if I'm not mistaken, and I'd have to look at my receipts from Tacoma, there's a higher tax rate for higher tax rate than the city's normal sales tax rate. Is that true, or am I wrong on that one?
So we're trying to get clarification on that because we've been told there's no taxes on medical marijuana. And, and so we're not really sure. We're trying to figure that out, to be honest with you. And, there's a lot of questions being posted to the people down at the Abaca, and they're scrambling for answers when we ask difficult questions like that. But whatever the sales tax rate is, we plan on adhering to it. In the past, we paid 6.5%, but if it's 8.5% or 10%, whatever it is, that's what we'll do.
Okay. I was curious as to what, since 2016, what you've been paying. You talked about where's your cultivation center going to be?
It's going to be at 6400 Chillum Place.
Oh,
Northwest Washington. They're calling it the Triangle now because there's several other cultivation centers.
Yeah, there. I know. I own the building next door.
Oh, okay. There you go. Nice to meet you, neighbor.
I don't work out of it anymore.
Okay.
The security guard, you used a KT security.
Yes.
Are they armed security or not armed security?
So they can be either one. We don't plan on having armed security there based on past operations. We've never experienced any sort of an issue where we would have to have an armed security guard.
All right. So you're going to be doing your own cultivation. Are you going to be using any of the, are you doing your own edibles too? Or are you going to be?
No, my license doesn't, for cultivation, doesn't give me the ability to do edibles, but you're familiar with the bill and there's a top level and a bottom level.
Yeah.
So another Adams Morgan resident, he's got a manufacturer's license, joint delivery service, and he's going to be operating edibles manufacturer in the downstairs and a manufacturing business. And since we know each other, we're going to be giving him our trim and our leftover, and he'll be using those products to make edibles, because we really believe in keeping the DC community as involved as we can. So we want to do business with people that we know are from Adams Morgan and that are part of the community.
The issue of 18 versus 21 is, yes. I'm a little shocked that the city is doing 18 is that for a self-certification or a doctor certification?
My understanding is, and I was in a meeting today in Adams Morgan, we were going over this, is that the self-certification is across the board now.
So we're self-certifying 18-year-olds, and an 18-year-old can't buy alcohol. I'm okay with an 18-year-old buying alcohol.
Right.
If you could,
I don't, I know that when it used to be, when I first got my cannabis card in DC, 18-year-old had to have parent sign.
Right.
So the parent signature. So I don't know if that rule's still in place or not, because they've amended so many of the rules right now, and I think a lot of it has to do with the restrictions that are being put on the city by some of the legislation that's currently out there that won't let them go to a legalization program or recreational program. Okay. They're changing things up every day.
On the delivery license, this is something I've been trying to work with, and we're not having any luck. But are you using cars or are you using bikes for your delivery?
I'm going to use bikes. It's okay. The way to go.
Well, I want to make sure that because the cars are a huge problem on 18th Street.
There's no parking. There's no way
there is if you park in the middle of the street, which is what all everybody does. And I wish the city would roll out the program to get the bikes out faster. All right. I think that's it. One last question. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school in Northern Virginia. So I went to high school, Stonewall Jackson High School in Manassas, Virginia.
I'm done.
Thanks, Commissioner Shapiro. Any questions from the audience? Feel free to just use the raise hand function and Sean can promote you to ask a question. Looks like we've got one hand up. Oh, that's Commissioner Shapiro again.
I got one question. Have you ever sold Kratom?
No.
Good. Thank you. That's the exact answer I wanted to hear.
Yeah. No, we believe in Mother Nature, and we're not part of the kratom craze.
That's all I got, John. Really appreciate you coming here and being open and chatting with us about it. We're trying to treat this just like any other business coming in and members of our community that we want to support to the extent that we can, to the extent everybody's following the rules that are created by the city. So, seems like you're really doing this to the best that you possibly can and a great member of the community, and we're happy to support that. So thank you for coming out tonight, and for introducing yourself to everybody here.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and I promise I won't let you down. I'll do an excellent job for you, and I'll represent Adams Morgan well.
Thanks, John. Looks like Commissioner Wood had one last thing.
Well, I just wanted to move that we recommend this for the full committee or the full commission, I guess at next week's meeting, and then I want to say that just so that Mr. Ken, you could hear no necessary presence at that meeting, but if you want to, you're free to join it.
Okay, I'll definitely chime in just in case anybody has any questions. Like I said, I believe in full transparency, and I don't have a problem answering any questions.
It's great. I second that motion, Commissioner Wood. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It passes unanimously. John, you'll be on our agenda next Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Zoom. The details will be on our website at anc1.org.
Thank you very much. I will see you guys then.
Thank you.
And please stop in to visit.
Cool, we will.
Thank you very
Also,
much.
Brilliant move
right.
to have the cookie store right next to y'all. That was super smart.
Right. that was kind of funny how that happened, but yes, it's real good.
It's great.
So, all right, guys, you have a good one. Thank you.
You take care. All right. Next up, we have Zanzibar. That is Jeff. So if we can promote Jeff, and then Jeff, I'm not sure if your client is here as well. Whoever wants to join for that, please just raise your hand and Sean will promote you. Oh, and it looks like
here we go.
Hey, Jeff, and it looks like we got Raja too, Sean.
Yes.
So if you can please promote Raja. Cool. So for the record, this is ABCA license, or actually ABRA license 126723 for Zanzibar LLC. It's a retailer's Class C restaurant located at 2309 18th Street Northwest, which is directly across the street from the last establishment that we were just talking about right there. The hours of operation and hours of alcohol beverage sales that are being sought are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m., Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. There are also some hours sought for the outdoor summer garden and for the streetery, and also entertainment Sunday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m., Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. until 2 a.m., and a endorsement for carry out and delivery Sunday through Saturday, 11 a.m. till midnight. Did I get all that right, Jeff and Raj? Raja?
Yes, sir.
Great. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming here and joining us tonight. Really appreciate you being here. Jeff, it's great to see you as always.
You too.
It's always nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Raja, would you mind just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your business?
Yes, sir. My name is Rajesh Shokat. 40-year-old, and I've been living in DMV area for 40 years. I mean, 23 years, sorry. Uh, and DC is Adam Morgan's is my first restaurant, and it's an Italian restaurant. Uh, and and we have indoor and outdoor seatings for the restaurants, and plus we deliver. Also, we deliver food.
Great.
Yes.
Well, fantastic. I mean, it seems like so this is in the spot. It's just three up from the corner at Calorama and 18th Street, right? On the right-hand side.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it's taking over the space of Spacey Cloud.
Yeah,
Used to be used to be
the
a
skateboard
bigger
shop.
restaurant there.
And it's already in operation, right? I haven't actually been able to go over there yet. I've had a lot going on, but you're already in operation and doing sales?
Yes, we are. We still under the Spacey Cloud license, but we haven't opened that downstairs yet fully. We still because we are under probation. So
You're doing the renovations in the lower part right now. So you're just operating out of the upper part at the moment?
yes, upper part, and also we're waiting on our own license.
And so you are going to be seeking then a temporary license endorsement from the ANC?
Yes, stipulated license, correct.
Stipulated license, great. Cool, good to know. Sorry, yeah, I always use the word temporary, but I know officially it's stipulated. That's great. Well, I guess my questions are really about some of the endorsements that you have for music in the venue. If you can just tell us a little bit more about what you're planning to do there as far as entertainment or music.
So entertainment wise, we just gonna have our DJs here once in a while once we have a special events. That's about it. Otherwise, just regular music downstairs.
Cool. And for
Yeah.
how
Sorry.
about how often do you think that you would have the special events and DJs there?
Depends on booking. Like if people want to have a birthday party, special like or we just sign up with this call event place. I think. So if we start getting business from them, so if people wanna have an event there, event at our place, then we're gonna have probably DJs.
Okay.
And also,
Yes.
he's going to promote neighborhood jazz artists from the DMV that want to perform and just
Time
have
to
a
time,
venue
yeah.
to express their music.
Yes, sir, for upstairs.
So the DJs would be in the lower level area?
Yes, sir.
Got it. Great. Because there are no there's no sleeping in any of the like spaces surrounding there. I was a little bit worried that if there were DJs in the upper floors, that might make music that was like loud for folks that live right there. But if it's only down in the basement, then that's much easier for the neighborhood.
Yes, upstairs actually, I don't think any residents living right now, but still we're not planning to do anything upstairs. Everything it's gonna be if it's gonna because upstairs is totally restaurant, fully restaurants. But yeah, downstairs is more like a bar scene.
Okay, cool. That makes sense, and that's better for the neighborhood too.
Yes.
Commissioner Wood, did you have a question?
Not so much a question, just a comment. Welcome to the neighborhood. I know there's a
Thank
lot
you.
of blood coming in, so I really wish you luck. I mean, in my experiences, commissioners seen instances where, in my mind, unnecessary barriers to make it so that you can have things like occasional live music, which doesn't seem to be at the scale of like a dance club, but more so to try to allow private parties to book something that accommodates their preferences, which is to kind of introduce you to how ANC stuff works. A lot of parts of the city often are concerned that things will be loud and dirty. So this is an opportunity to try to work that together to prevent that from happening. And it sounds like you're
Yes,
already.
always. Yes, definitely.
So yeah, really, and it just there's the Madrid, which is a residential place across the street, but there's also multiple places that I know have pretty loud music at night, and I don't think it's really been a big issue. Maybe down the street further occasionally, but where you're at, I feel like this falls pretty much in line with what's already happening, and to the best of my knowledge, it's worked out pretty well. Really, the big thing is trash in the backside alley, so make sure you're keeping things clean
Yes, sir.
to the best of your ability. Thanks so much for being here.
Definitely.
Commissioner Shapiro, did you have questions?
This is almost a question for you, Commissioner Skinny, or Commissioner Wood. Can we actually limit where the music is? Because the idea that it's only on the lower level, I think, is an excellent idea in this instance. But once he gets the live music endorsement, obviously we can't limit the type of music. I mean, we can't. I know he says jazz, but 3 days later, jazz turns into a 100-piece marching band. I'm concerned that, and as long as it stays on the lower level, I think we're in great shape. But if he moves it up to the upper level, does that create a problem? And can we offer a comment, or as part of a stipulated agreement, can we get a commitment to keep it on the lower level?
We can do that as a part of a settlement agreement, definitely. Commissioner Wood, did you have a response to that?
Yeah, I just want to point out, to the best of my knowledge, within a couple 100 feet, I think Pitchers and Johnny Pistolas often have the same thing on the second floors.
I know.
So it's not like it's a new thing. So I mean, I don't know that Pitchers projects that much out. I guess it depends on the architecture of the specific building, but just thought it was worth pointing out.
No, I just keeping it in the basement to me is a great idea. All right. I mean, that works real well.
Jeff,
So, question: if you wanna have a piano night and or a jazz night, so we can have it upstairs or not?
yeah, I mean, that's currently a part of the agreement. And what
Okay.
we would, there are other establishments on the block that what we've done is we've entered into settlement agreements where in their upper floors, the number of nights a week that they can have live music there are limited to, say, like 2 or 3 nights a week. So it's just like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, basically. And that limits the amount of noise overall for the neighborhood in the upper floors. Then in the basement, you could have more throughout the week because the sound doesn't travel. It's not going to keep people from working during the work week. So those are the kinds of settlements that we've entered into with Pitchers, which is just a few doors down, with Johnny Pistolas, that's just a little bit further up the block. That's what we've tried to do with some of those establishments, just to kind of cut down the nightclub sort of feel in the neighborhood, but still allow music and entertainment and folks, especially on the weekends, to be able to come out and really enjoy theirselves and still have some live music. So
Yeah, this is the jazz and the piano just for the dining people, the people who having a dinner, like dining, so we can provide them some jazz music, and we will make sure, it's not loud, so.
Can we, following up on that, I understand him wanting to have the jazz, etc., on the main level. Could part of the follow-up of a stipulated agreement be that cuts off at midnight on weeknights?
Till 10 o'clock, that's it.
yeah, it's
I would even say 12. But you see what I'm saying? I'm just trying to, keep, particularly if it's going to be more, the upper floor will be more food oriented. I think that fits in well with what he wants. I think that's a great idea. If we want to not stipulate only the basement, he wants the jazz, which we can't limit what kind of music it is once we agree to music. But we could, as part of the agreement, then we could say, fine, you can have it upstairs, but maybe you cut it off on weeknights at 12.
And also, Commissioner, we'd be willing to say that we won't have any speakers or amplifiers up on the first floor DJs as also.
okay.
Boy, you're offering more than I was asking.
Yeah, because
that's
when you're having jazz, you don't really need an amplifier because the space is so narrow you can hear the music.
yep. That's great. With those minor tweaks and a settlement agreement, I feel very comfortable with this. And Raja, it really seems like you're trying to bring like, a very family style restaurant to the neighborhood, and we're excited to try to welcome you. I don't want to do anything that's going to harm your ability to, have a successful business in the neighborhood. And so, um, we want to make sure that you feel welcomed and that you don't feel like we're trying to, harm your business in any way. But we are just trying to make sure that the neighbors are taken care of so they don't have too much noise or anything like that. There is a big building directly behind the alley from where you're at. And so, just doing a little bit to try to make sure that we're limiting the noise pollution, especially really late at night. So if you're open to a settlement agreement, we can work on that over the next couple of weeks. I think, with the understanding that we'll have something like that in place, I'm more than happy to move to support this liquor license application, and also a stipulated license from the date of the signed settlement agreement forward.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Fantastic. Jeff, always a pleasure. Thank you. You're
Same
lucky.
here.
Your clients are lucky to have you. Raja, it's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to meet you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming out. It's very nice to have you here, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
And listen, I just want to ask the commissioners a question. When was the last time they had an Italian restaurant up in Adams Morgan? I believe Spaghetti Garden was the last one.
No. There's on both ends.
There's
Yeah.
still Alvolo is up at the very top of Adams Morgan next to the McDonald's, just around the corner from the McDonald's. And then a newer Italian place came in along Columbia Road, Morgana, not that long ago too. So we've got a couple of them, but there
How
can
long
never
ago
be enough
Spaghetti?
Italian.
So who has Spaghetti Garden's location now?
That is now
Pictures.
Pictures, right?
I think that's pictures.
no,
It's
no,
next door.
it's whatchamacallit. It's the other place we were just talking about up the
Vita
street.
Lada.
John, it's not Johnny P's.
Yeah, it's Johnny Pistolas.
It is John. I thought. Okay.
Oh, Brian says it's definitely Pictures. I trust him. He
I
knows
thought because it's closer to Dan's. Spaghetti
Okay.
Garden was either next door or two doors
Mhm.
up from Dan's.
Pretty sure it's Pictures where the former owner, like died within the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, he got COVID early
Oh.
on in the pandemic. He lived across the street from me. He's a lovely old guy. Um, but yeah. But yeah, it'll be great to have you, Raja. And a guy with the last name Falaschini got called fettuccine a lot when he was younger. So we can never have enough pasta in the neighborhood, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, gentlemen.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care, y'all. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we've got Seven Lanes LLC. I'm not sure if they were actually going to be able to make it tonight, because they are completely on the other side of town, on the other side of Ward 1. I have no idea why we got sent the application for this business. It's on 9th and U Street. They wrote us. I wrote and we exchanged some information. It's the same lawyer representing them that represented one of the other medical marijuana establishments that we saw last month. I don't know if you have your hand up, Commissioner Wood. So if you have more info, I'd appreciate it.
I don't know if it'd be a point of information or what, but I don't see any reason for us to discuss this. I mean, it's far away, it's not relevant, so it's just my opinion. Sometimes the
Yeah.
form gets sent out erroneously. It's happened before.
It's true. It's in ANC 1B. I know that it's on ANC 1B's agenda for their ABC and Public Safety committee that handles these things. given the, the distance from Adams Morgan, I don't think we have a vested interest in worrying about this license. I would say we just chalk this up to being a mistake and let it go.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
You might ask ABC why they sent it to us,
Yeah, I'll respond to them and just ask what the deal is. The lawyer representing the establishment thought that it was a mistake because he said that they're already dealing with ANC 1B. So that's probably my sense of what happened too. We've gotten those before from ABCA. It's not a science. It's not a perfect science.
I'm not sure that if we were to support it, if it would have any legal merit, to be honest.
We're not the ANC of record, so it wouldn't the city wouldn't even have to take our suggestions on it. I'm going to really quickly, since we've got a little bit of time and we did not actually get a representative from the police to come tonight. If y'all don't mind, I got a presentation back from ABCA about the new medical marijuana establishments and what the rules are for ABCA and what the role of the commissions are. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share screen and just go through that presentation really quickly. And then if we have any questions, we can feel free to jot them down and I can write it over to their general counsel. Does that sound like a good idea to both of you?
I reviewed the whole thing earlier today, but I'm willing to see it a second time. Or I guess it'd be mine.
Okay. Cool. I will, our guests, you should feel free to drop off. If you don't want to see this, we're going to close out the meeting right after this is done. But I did ask ABCA to come and do a presentation on what the rules are around medical marijuana establishments. The person that does these presentations for them is actually out of office on leave for a couple of months. I'm not sure what type of leave, but they're out for a couple of months. And so instead, they sent us the PowerPoint presentation that the person developed. So I'm just going to share screen and go through it really quickly. I also took a look at it today, but I think it would just be helpful to still take a look. So let me pull this up. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
We can.
Okay, cool. So this is Sarah from from ABCA, who normally does this presentation. And she also, I believe, lives in Adams Morgan. So I know she's attended our meetings in the past to present on various questions that we had. We'll go through the program overview, key provisions, public comment and settlement agreements, enforcement, rulemaking, and then there's a section for question and answer. The overview is that ABCA is an independent agency within DC government charged with supporting the public's health, safety, and welfare through the control and regulation of the sale and distribution of alcohol and medical cannabis. That addition of medical cannabis is fairly recent, as is the name ABCA, which changed when they were also placed in charge of medical cannabis licensing. They operate under the authority of the Alcohol, Beverage, and Cannabis Board. DC's medical cannabis program permits people with valid medical cannabis patient registration issued by ABCA or U.S. state or territory extended reciprocity to purchase cannabis from a licensed retailer for medical purposes. Patients may purchase up to 8 ounces within a 30-day rolling period. So it isn't like a huge amount of marijuana that's being licensed, and it is anyone that has patient registration valid medical cannabis patient registration. ABCA is responsible for issuing these registrations and also cannabis business licenses, tracking medical cannabis products from seed to sale, and enforcing DC alcohol and medical cannabis laws and regulations. Key provisions. And this was just signed into law in spring of the year before last. So it provides these new licenses and endorsement types, eliminates medical cannabis facility caps, competitive scoring, increased ANC public comment period for medical cannabis facility applications, which is what we're all of a sudden doing now with no training whatsoever. Thanks, ABCA. Allows ANCs to file protests, reach settlement agreements with medical cannabis business applicants, which is part of what we've been trying to start to work on as an ANC. And we have actually asked a couple of folks for some settlement agreement language that we can start to use for establishments when they come into the neighborhood. Inclusion of social equity initiatives, pathway for unlicensed operators to become licensed. This was around a lot of the racial disparity in ownership issues when this first went into effect. There are so many harms that were done in the war on drugs to communities of color that there were some social equity initiatives that were a part of the law in order to make sure that it benefited those communities that were harmed the most. Also increased enforcement authority, the introduction of civil penalties, the introduction of annual medical cannabis sales tax holiday, which must be why John was saying that so far there isn't a tax. It must just be a holiday for the moment. The license types, 6 permanent medical cannabis license types are available. They're valid for up to 3 years, which is similar to what we deal with alcohol licenses. The same type expire on the same date, which is what we deal with alcohol licenses as well. The different types of licenses are couriers, which permits third-party delivery of medical cannabis. So these are the folks that are delivering. Cultivation centers are the folks that grow. Internet retailers are folks that are selling over the internet exclusively. Retailers are folks that, like the applications that we've received here in Adams Morgan, that are allowed to dispense medical cannabis. Testing laboratory, which we have not gotten any of these yet, or permits the testing of medical cannabis and medical cannabis products. And manufacturers are allowed to manufacture, which John was saying, like that's folks that are making edibles, they're getting a manufacturer's license, which takes you from the grow stage to in between the grow stage and the retailing stage. So licensing types, you can apply for a conditional license by both standard and social equity applications. If approved, restrictions apply. This is something we should probably familiarize ourselves a little bit more and ask for a little bit more clarity on, because it sounds to me like a stipulated license. Conditional license holders have 1 year from the date of issuance to provide ABCA the required documentation, including but not limited to lease certification of occupancy, security plan, and a permanent license application. So it sounds a lot like a alcohol stipulated license. Endorsement types. Endorsements extend additional operating privileges to licensees for the duration of the license period. Endorsements can be requested in the initial application or anytime after issuance, which again, same sort of thing that we deal with alcohol licenses. For medical cannabis license endorsements are available to retailers only. They include delivery, which is what John was saying was on his that we just saw today. And that permits medical cannabis and medical cannabis products to be delivered to eligible patients, their caregivers. Education tasting permits the offering of cooking and how-to classes and demonstrations and tastings for educational purposes. That's interesting. We haven't seen any of those come up yet, I don't think. Safe use treatment facility permits the on-premise consumption of medical cannabis and medical cannabis products purchased on site at the real retailer within designated areas. So this basically says that you can test it there on site. And summer garden, we already have this for alcohol, permits the sale, service, and on-premise consumption of medical cannabis and medical cannabis products within a private outdoor space. A safe use treatment facility endorsement is required for a summer garden endorsement. I don't think we really need to know about the open application or the fee schedule. I think all this is to, we are in the timeline right now, and that is why we are getting a bunch of these right now. So it looks like internet retailer and retailer, the timeline to apply was from November 1st to January 29th, 2024. So we are in that right now, where the unlicensed app operators just passed their deadline for submitting their applications. This is kind of interesting because I know that there are several other unlicensed folks in the neighborhood that we haven't gotten an application yet from them. So I wonder what's going to happen to those folks since they missed the deadline for submitting an application. And then otherwise, the application for just regular retailers that haven't already been working as unlicensed operators is going to start in March and will go through the end of the summer. So we'll see probably a whole blast of these applications again from March 1st to the end of the summer. I don't really need to see the fee schedule on this. Folks want, we can try to share this. I'll upload this presentation to the file folder for the meeting tonight. And when I send around notes later tonight from the meeting, I'll be sure to provide a link to this so folks can look at it in more detail if they want to. Some of the things that we're talking about tonight were qualifications and distance requirements that are a part of the law. So qualifications are the applicants may not have had any felony conviction for a crime of violence, a gun offense, tax evasion, fraud, or credit card fraud within the 3 years preceding the date the application is filed with ABCA, unless the applicant demonstrates rehabilitation and fitness for licensure in accordance with DC official code. It is there. I just note here one of the convictions that is not on here is for a past drug offense. And I think part of the reason why that they're trying to do that is to make sure that folks that were, that were part of the war on drugs or got caught up in the war on drugs are, as long as they didn't have any gun offense or anything, a crime of violence, that they are not going to be prohibited from also applying to hold one of these businesses. Distance requirements, we talked about some of these tonight. Medical cannabis business, except for a courier license, shall not locate within 300 feet of a preschool, primary or secondary school, or rec center, unless the main entrance to the preschool, primary, rec center, or the nearest property line of the school or rec center is actually on or occupies ground zone commercial or industrial according to official atlases of the Zoning Commission of the District of Columbia. This is actually an interesting question. Are Marie Reed or HD Cook zoned commercial or industrial? I don't know the answer to that.
I looked up Marie Reed, and it's a mixed use. It's an MU zone. So I mean, it's kind of moot as to whether an MU zone is industrial or commercial, or is it residential?
This is a great question that we need to follow up with ABCA about. It's a great question. We really need to know that as far as distance from those establishments. Also, wonder about the the preschool that is up on Calorama across the street from Sitar Art Center and next to Mary Center. I wonder whether or not Mary Center is considered a part of this. There's also there are two daycare centers just off of Columbia on Ontario Road. One just south of Columbia, one just north. There's one on Columbia a little bit further up, past the barbecue place. So these are all things that we just definitely need to know a little bit more about in order to understand whether or not, Uncle Ike's that's there on Columbia and 17th. That's definitely within 300 feet of HD Cook.
Yeah, they're not getting a license.
So I think there are some that are clearly within that 300 feet of primary preschools and rec centers in the neighborhood, according to this definition right now. So we just need to learn a little bit more about it. And then no new retailer license shall be issued if located within 400 feet of another retailer. So that's why, as you were saying, Commissioner Shapiro, it's a big deal that these first ones that have gotten their foot in the door have gotten it in when they've gotten it in. So public comment and protest. There's a 45-day public comment period that is part of what we're in the process of dealing with right now. We get these notifications from ABCA that come out to the commissioners when any of these are issued in the neighborhood. That's when we then invite them to come and present at the ABC and Public Safety Committee and at our full commission meeting. That's the 45-day public comment period that we're trying to present this to the neighborhood in that window so that folks can understand what's going on and decide whether or not they want to try to protest. Protests may only be submitted by an ANC located in the ward the establishment is in or is requested to operate in, which probably explains why we're getting one from the other side of Ward 1, even though it's not really relevant to us in Adams Morgan whether or not one of these is going to be issued over on 9th and U Street. Applicants and ANCs may enter into settlement agreements, but they must be approved by ABC board to be enforceable. So that's good to know that they need to be approved by the ABC board. Public comment and protest. These are some of the things that we are allowed to take into consideration as an ANC as we submit resolutions. So anything outside of this is outside of the purview of what we are allowed to be considering. So anything outside of this, like what's written here, will not be given great weight by ABCA. So the things we are allowed to consider are the effect of the establishment on real property values, the effect of the establishment on peace, order, and quiet, upon residential parking needs and vehicular and pedestrian safety, proximity to school, rec centers, day centers, libraries, other similar public facilities, effect of the establishment on the operation and clientele of schools, rec centers, etc. Whether school-age children using facilities in proximity to the establishment will unduly attracted to the establishment while present at or going to or from said facilities, whether issuance of the license would create or contribute to an over concentration of licensed establishment of the same type, which is likely to affect adversely the locality, section, or proportion in which the establishment is located. I don't think that we have reached, that's kind of a saturation issue. At this point, this is the fourth one we've looked at. I don't think that we've come close to kind of a saturation issue for these, but we might get there by the end of the summer and need to start a conversation about whether or not we need to submit some sort of resolution or something like that about oversaturation. I don't think we're close yet, but it is something that we should just know might be on the horizon. Protest filing, we know how to do these, but we have to submit a written letter to ABCA. We know all of this just because this is how it works for liquor establishments. It's the exact same sort of stages for liquor. Settlement agreements. We should probably just familiarize ourselves a little bit more with the settlement agreement rules, so that we can start to develop settlement agreements with establishments, especially if we just don't get a strong feeling that they're committed to some of the values of the neighborhood that we would like them to be committed to. And here are some of the provisions that we're allowed to consider in settlement agreements. I'm not going to go through all of them. And then compliance, ABCA will receive complaints on any licensed or unlicensed businesses selling medical marijuana in the neighborhood. Here are some examples of violations. And then we have the contact information for filing a complaint. I think that's pretty much all we need to go through on this. I read through some of the rest of it, the Q&A and or the rulemaking. This is what we've got. I think it's a fair amount to go on right now. Commissioner Wood, I do think it would be good to follow back up with ABCA and see if they'd be willing to send someone to our ANC meeting, just to come and present this in a little bit more detail so the commissioners can ask some questions. So far, I think we've had like the better establishments in the neighborhood that have come to the ABC committee seeking licenses.
How many have we? I thought we have only had two. You said four.
Had I was counting the other one on U Street that we officially considered tonight but didn't really consider. So it's
the one on Columbia and this one.
Two more came out over the last 2 days that we'll consider in February.
We may have to but the lack of the August meeting, because isn't this more of a concise protest period than for liquor licenses?
It's the same. It's 45 days.
Okay. I'm just worried about the ability to actually, if we object to something, and my question is, once there's a licensed facility, just one licensed facility, why can't they, the ABCA, however they want to say it, they should shut down everything on the 400-foot radius. I mean, right away, there's no need to wait.
You got the number, Commissioner Shapiro.
Oh, trust me, I will be. I'm going to have some concerns about the outdoor gardens, proximity to residential. And, there's already been one lawsuit in the city about some woman couldn't stand the smell of weed. The flip side of it is I was talking to a restaurant owner on 18th Street last night who said he just thinks we should just let everybody have whatever licenses they want. And I was trying to convey to him that we don't want to have the wild, wild west come east, or the wild, wild east come west. So I'm concerned about the numbers, that it would have a negative impact on restaurant life.
I mean, the 400 feet stipulation, I think will keep that from happening. It's already like a part of the law that they can't concentrate super heavily. 400 feet basically means you can't have more than two every block, on either side of the block or one in the middle. So it's gonna keep this like fairly limited in Adams Morgan. So I think we're gonna be okay, especially with the two schools and the rec center.
No,
And
I think we will. The other thing that we're going to have to find out in 3 years is when they come up for a renewal, if someone's opened up a preschool across the street, how does that impact that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know that they know the answer to that question.
yeah, I mean, it could be that APCA or that the daycare licensing um organization body doesn't allow them to open it within that distance of
Yeah.
of a marijuana establishment. I'm
I
not
hope
sure.
it's the case because you could just put people out of business you don't like by opening that sort of thing up.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we have to learn more about the preschool thing because that I just realized that the first one that we dealt with is is right around the corner from Jubilee Jumpstart. It's easily within 300 feet. Um, so I'm not sure what the deal is going to be with that. And I don't know how Jubilee Jumpstart is kind of classified in all of this. All right. Well, thank you for entertaining my desire to just go through this as a group. And then Commissioner Wood, I'll follow up on that thread that we're both on with ABCA and just see if they can send someone to our meeting next week.
It's you can't. I mean, in the middle of this rollout, they have to. You can't say that the person's on leave for 2 months or 3 months. It just, yeah. Jake, can you put the documents I dropped off? Can you sign them and take them to your door, and I'll pick them up tomorrow morning?
Yep, they're already signed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Much appreciated. All right. With that, call this meeting to a close. Thank you, commissioners.
Right.
Thank you, Sean, for running. Much appreciated.
For sure.